What's up, you guys? Welcome back to another podcast, and I am joined today by a lovely lady. Welcome, Catherine.
Thank you, Rich.
Catherine is a healthcare expert here in Lake Chapala, and she's going to be sharing with us some healthcare options if you're coming to Mexico wanting some advice into what kind of healthcare options are available for Americans, Canadians, foreigners in general, expats coming to live here in Lake Chapala or anywhere else in Mexico for that matter. I think you're going to find this podcast really, really helpful. Thank you so much, Catherine, for coming
You're so
on.
welcome.
Thank you for allowing me in your beautiful home here on Lake Chapala.
Thank you. Thank you, Rich. I'm glad to be here. Hope to be of some help to some people. My husband and I were both born in Nuevo Mexico in the United States, although we moved here from Houston. But we came here from an article in ARP that had a front page cover that had a Mexican hat that was kind of floating. It said, "Viva El Cheapo." And I was 52 and kind of tired of working at the grind in Houston. And we both have an affinity for Mexico from our background. So we decided to come down. We came down on a Saturday and we bought a house on Wednesday. We've never looked back.
So this is 12 years ago.
12 years ago.
You came down on a Saturday, you bought
And
a
we
house
bought a
by
house
Wednesday.
on Wednesday.
Guys, by the way, not everyone does exactly what Catherine does.
No.
Sometimes people leave a little bit longer to buy a house,
Right.
to look around, get a feel for the area.
Yes, that is, but it does happen. You know,
It does
people
happen.
do come down on one-way tickets sometimes because the beauty of the place is so staggering. And of course, cost of living was our big motivation because we could afford to retire sooner rather than later. But my husband, growing up in Santa Fe, loved the mountains. I grew up in New Orleans and Houston, so I loved the water, and we fell in love. So we moved here, and I was still working, and my husband was still working, and we're very blessed here to be in this wonderful, we call it pocket of paradise, but we are 30 minutes from the Guadalajara airport. So we have access to flying home for business meetings, family, from here to Houston is very easy to get to. So we've been here 12 years. I was working the entire 12 years. For the past 6 years, I've been working with Skymed, and I kind of hesitate to call myself an expert, but I probably am an expert because I've used a lot of the healthcare services myself, unfortunately, as well. So we are, what motivated me to work for Skymed is that in my career, I was in high-tech sales, specifically around services related to high-tech, and specifically within services was called business continuity planning for businesses. How do you continue to operate in the event of a disaster? Or, the grid goes out, you have no power, or COVID, people can't get to work. All these sort of pandemics, all these things, and that was my area of specialty. So when we found out about Skymed, my husband actually signed up for it before we were working for them.
So you've been working for Skymed for 6 years.
6 years.
Skymed has been around for
33 years.
33 years.
Yes.
In Mexico, it's been here for 20 years. You just mentioned to me.
Yes, Skymed's been operating in Mexico for about 20 years. Here on Lakeside, I know for sure 12 years, but we're in Zihuatanejo, San Miguel, Mazatlan, Puerto Vallarta, Cabo, here in Ajijic. So Skymed has a very large presence in Mexico.
Catherine, can you explain exactly what Skymed is?
Sure. Skymed is the bridge. It's the transportation piece to get people who live one place back to their health care, which is paid for somewhere else. And so the whole message of being able to prepare and plan. So, because the time you want to plan for an emergency is before it happens, right? You don't want to be on a gurney trying to figure out what you're going to do, because at that point you're just throwing money at the situation. And you hear about people who do that, and it can be very expensive. And normally people don't have enough on their credit cards or enough cash, liquid cash. They have to start pooling credit cards, and it's not a pleasant experience. So what I try to communicate to people in the seminars that I do about Skymed before we even talk about Skymed is we talk about how to make a plan.
So say if someone comes to you, they give you a call, they find you online. By the way, guys, we'll leave all the information that you can contact Catherine. I'll leave her email, her number, if that's okay,
Sure.
in the description of this video, and you can contact her and go into more depth with your specific requirements, okay?
Right, exactly.
So that will be down in the description. So say someone calls you, emails you, and say, Catherine, I need your help. You know, where would you take it? Where, you know, obviously everyone's different.
Right.
But what's your first kind of, what are some of the usual questions that someone would be asking you for, like, how do I even begin this whole thing of finding the best healthcare option for me here in Mexico?
Well, I would start with asking your age. I would start with asking, are you full-time or part-time? The age is very important because we know that insurance companies have kind of a threshold at the age of 75. When I came here to Mexico, I was 52. I'm 64 today, actually.
Happy birthday!
I know, that was funny.
She just told me it's her birthday. I think we should sing happy birthday.
No.
Come on, let's do it. Let's do it.
No, you don't.
Can I sing?
You really sing? Yeah.
I mean, let's try, guys. Okay, everyone, let's sing happy birthday to Catherine,
Rich,
all right?
you're so funny.
Happy birthday
Oh,
to
my. He does have a good
you.
voice. Oh, my.
Happy birthday
You are
to
so funny.
you.
Oh,
Happy
listen to him.
birthday, dear Catherine. Happy birthday to
I think I'm turning red,
you.
You're so funny.
I'm not going to edit that out. That's staying in. Anyway, happy birthday to Catherine.
Thank you.
It's amazing, isn't she? Yeah.
So that was very sweet of you, and for all eternity. So when I came at 52, I did not have Medicare, right? So everybody's different. Everyone has different risk tolerances. Some people like to overinsure. I'm one of those, but some people don't. Different financial situations. They have different health care. They have, like I said, risk tolerances. Everyone is different. And so I kind of want to ask some questions around that. You know, what have you been using for health care? What do you have in place already? If I'm speaking with are you American or Canadian is a good place to start. If you are American, do you have Medicare? Some people let it go. Please don't let it go, because when you reach a certain age, you're going to age out of insurance. And Medicare you will not age out of, you know, we hope. So we don't know the future for sure, but your Medicare will be there. So people, when they hit until the end. And so it's
keep hold of it.
You keep a hold of it, right?
Good advice, yeah.
And so when I came here at 52, I, was too young for Medicare. So I bought private insurance here, and the private insurance, the Canadians are not really used to insurance except travel because they have their universal health care, but the Americans are used to paying a lot for insurance. And here I pay about $3,000 a year, which I think is an incredibly reasonable amount.
With a Mexican
company. Insurance company.
Do you mind sharing the Mexican company?
The company is, I'm so delighted with that company. I've referred lots of business to them, and the name is AXA. You must be under 65, and then once you are past 65, you're grandfathered in. But I have been thrilled with the health care here in Mexico. I've had a compound fracture of my leg that was... I fell on a sidewalk. I called an ambulance first, then I called my doctor. The doctor shows up with happy juice, which I really needed, and a nurse. She takes charge of the situation. These things don't happen in the States or in Canada. So it's a different kind of more personalized medical, I think, here in Mexico. You have a lot more choices than you do in the Canadian and in the American systems. But then, I go to the hospital, and 4 days, 5 days, I was in the hospital Monday through Friday. And insurance is very important because although medical here is very affordable, and there's a lot of medical tourism, particularly from Canada where you have long waits, for certain things, hip replacements, etc. So there's a lot of medical tourism. And it has
meaning that people come here and get some surgeries done.
Yes,
exactly. That sometimes they could be on a waiting list that could take them months and months, and come here to Mexico and get it done a lot quicker and pay a fraction of the price.
Exactly. Yeah. About a fraction of the price, if depending on what your situation is, because if it's free in Canada, but you may have to wait 3 years, right? And who wants to wait 3 years to have cataract surgery?
Sometimes it's pay or wait.
Pay or wait. That's right. That's right. And so while it is very affordable, and I did have that's just a gallbladder out, in and out $1,500 US. My husband had a meniscus tear in his knee, in and out outpatient, $1,500. But when it starts to be something like a compound fracture, fractured hips, strokes, heart attacks, surgeries, and very what I'd call serious or critical sudden illnesses or accidents, then it can get into real money. So when I went,
even here in Mexico.
In Mexico,
absolutely.
exactly. Thank
Not
you.
as much as the States, but it can be it can be pretty high.
Yes, not nearly as much as the States,
Yeah.
but it's still a lot of money. So just to give you an idea, I went into the hospital with the compound fracture of my leg on Monday. I checked out on Friday. I had 2 surgeries, and the cost was $38,000 US. And that is, it's reasonable compared to the U.S., but who wants to spend that kind of money? So my deductible was $2,000. I paid that. The insurance paid $36,000. So the point is to have a plan, right?
Have a plan. And this is why if you do come here, then have a plan, meaning get insurance.
Get insurance.
Here based in Mexico.
Well, that's one option.
One option.
My husband, he had a catastrophic plan, which was only $2,000 a year. Very, very reasonable. $5,000 deductible. Well, $5,000 will buy a lot of medical here to get stable. And he has Medicare back in the States because he's a bit older than I am. He would say wiser, but we'll say older. So his plan is different than mine. So his plan is that if he had a sudden and unexpected illness or injury, then he would use Skymed to go back to the States where he has his Medicare, which will pay. So we dropped the catastrophic insurance.
The catastrophic insurance that he had
for Mexico.
For Mexico with the same insurer with Access.
No, different.
Different insurer.
Yeah,
okay,
yeah. Access is more of a healthcare. There's also a catastrophic insurance that just covers catastrophic sort of things. You have to look at the fine print on that.
Yep, absolutely.
Right, but that was 7 years ago. We've saved $14,000 at $2,000 a year, 7 years ago. So everybody has different plans, I guess is my point, depending on your situation. The Canadians, in some cases, will go non-resident, in which case they have to wait 90 days to get back into their medical. Although I'm hearing things from my Canadian friends that in Alberta and in British Columbia, and I'm no expert on the Canadian system, but that if it is an emergency, you're flown in via medically equipped ambulance, which is what Skymed would do, or or commercial flight with a medical escort if needed. We get you back depending on what you need. That they will let you in some of these provinces. Without the 90-day wait, but I would check that out for yourself. That's something you need to check on. But that's
kind of small print stuff.
Well, it just depends on the province.
Okay,
all the provinces
on the
are
area.
different.
Okay.
Yes, exactly. And so to kind of get back to the options, one option is private insurance. Another option, especially if you are Canadian and or you're a snowbird or a sweatbird or sunbird, whatever you want to call them, where you're here just 6 months of the year usually, then maybe travel insurance will cover you for...
You can get travel insurance up to 6 months of being out of the country?
Yes,
Yeah,
not through Skymed, but...
Is that through the maximum time? Length?
Well, travel insurance is different policies and things, but, travel insurance, a lot of Canadians will get until, again, it becomes cost prohibitive because eventually you will age out of insurance. I have Skymed members who say to me, Skymed now is our only option because if I want insurance, private insurance, it's costing $11,000 per person per year. So the insurance companies just don't want you when you're getting older.
Over 65.
75.
Sorry, over 75. It's very unlikely
it's
you're
very
going to get
tough.
Insured here in Mexico.
Right.
Yeah.
Or almost anywhere.
Anywhere
really,
else in the
really,
world.
yeah. And when I went from 59 to 60 with my insurance, it went up 39%. So it's going to keep going up at the 60, and then at 75, it really becomes cost prohibitive. And that's where Skymed kicks in.
Option
particularly.
number 3.
Yes, well, option number 3.
Okay.
Option number 3 would be Skymed in conjunction with, Medicare or Provincial, because you have to have somewhere to go. But I also want to make the point that because people think of always going north for their medical, because my medical is here in Mexico, If I were in Houston visiting my grandchildren and something happened, I would actually be flown back here.
How interesting,
So,
because you have Mexican
because
insurance.
my insurance is here. We call this the Skymed universe, which is Canada, U.S., Mexico, and the Caribbean. And anywhere in that area, my companion, my husband, would fly back with me. When I had the broken leg, Skymed offered to fly in a visitor to help, usually my husband, because usually by day 2 or 3, the caregiver is toast. They need some relief. They need some help. And if you can fly commercial, because you must be stabilized, something happens to you. You must be stabilized, and you pay for that out of pocket in many cases. A lot of people here will self-insure for the stabilization piece, and then use Skymed to get them back to where they have their medical covered, either in Canada or in the U.S. So those are all really good options. The only other option I would add, Rich, is that some people do choose to try to plug into the Mexican government programs. There's a program called IMSS. The care is very good.
It's not bad at all.
But there are some limitations, as any
limitations.
government program would.
Yeah.
And the other one is called Insabi, but that one is still kind of up in the air. But EAMS is a very established program. It's tough to get into as a gringo.
That's a good point to mention.
It is.
So they don't allow everyone to get into IMS.
No.
If you try to here, you have to kind of fit some criteria. Is that correct?
And the criteria can change. So again, I'm not an expert on EAMS. A lot of people get a consultant or a Mexican to help them, because the other part of the IMSS is that you bring your own bedding, you bring your own food, you bring your own toilet paper. You must have a translator with you, and you will wait in many cases for your surgeries or your but when you do get care, the care really is very good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I guess that would be option number 4, IMS here in
Yes,
Mexico.
EAMS, right.
Not everyone can get it, but if you can get it, you might as well use it
And you must
have it as a backup.
And you must keep
maybe.
it current, right? You do have to
Okay.
pay in, like you said, every year, and you do need to set up a file with the doctors and so forth, and go to their clinics. So those are all really good options. So just to recap, I would say self-insure. A lot of people choose to do that. I would suggest self-insure in conjunction with Skymed because we do evacuate people basically from all over the world. There's also the global piece, which I'm not going to get into the 18 services Skymed because we'd be here a lot longer that Skymed provides. But
18 different services,
18
all
different
around
services.
transport.
All around transport, the
Yeah.
ambulance, the helicopter, visitors flown in, advocates, medical advocates
So
to be
what-
with you at the hospital.
Let me
here.
put a scenario out here, because obviously I'm from England.
Okay.
If I had Skymed
Yes.
and I had insurance in Mexico, obviously I could use the NHS. But if I felt the wait was going to be too long and I had Skymed, even at I'm 43, guys, would it fly me back from England to Mexico?
Under the global plan, we would.
So we're
but
talking
not,
about
but not the other way.
Not-
because England is not part of the Skymed universe. We will
only
not.
Mexico, Canada, US, and Caribbean.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Now that doesn't happen that often. But if you were in anywhere outside of the Skymed universe and you wanted to come back,
Then-
we would fly you. Yes.
Okay.
Right.
I mean, this is where things could get very expensive when you don't have insurance,
Yes,
right? 'Cause
right.
I mean, could you just put a ballpark figure? And you had Medicare in the US. You're in Mexico. You had no insurance in Mexico. You had no IMS, no nothing else.
Right.
But you needed to get back to Medicare, and you had a serious issue here.
Right.
And you just say you needed to get back to. Let's put it out there. You need to get back to LA or something. How much would you probably know? How much would that cost you from Guadalajara or from here in Lake Chapala to get back to LA? What would that kind of cost you being flown out medically for a serious, say a broken leg, a hip injury, a broken hip? I mean,
A medically equipped jet. If you needed a medically equipped jet, right? Yeah.
I'm guessing, yeah.
So if you needed a medically equipped jet from here, and it's $15,000 up front, U.S., just to start the engines, gas it up, get the pilots on board, and then it's $15 a mile. So I'll tell you, from here to LA, the cost would be somewhere in the range of about $40,000 US dollars. And in the midst of a crisis, you do not want to be trying to gather up $40,000 and contract for that. And that doesn't even include all the other services that you need, an ambulance to meet you there, to pay for that ambulance to get you to the hospital. And one of the biggest things Skymed does is get you a bed. Particularly with COVID now, and getting a bed in Canada has always been a challenge. And having somebody, a professional company who's been doing this 33 years, organizing immigration, organizing the customs to be there, organizing the planes, the companion to fly, the bed on the other end, ambulance to pick you up at the hospital, all those moving parts is not something that we could do on
as
our
an
own.
individual.
As an individual,
It would be,
Yeah.
and when there's when you have a serious injury or you
Or
need
illness.
medical care,
Right.
you don't want to be thinking about all that.
No.
You mentioned before we come on camera that it's membership based.
It is.
So
Skymed
can
is
you talk
membership-based.
about that and talk
Yes.
about the membership?
Sure.
Talk about what that entails, some costs,
Sure.
and just because we're really in the conversation here.
Sure.
I'd love to know about it. I'm sure you guys would really like to know about some more details, like
Okay,
breaking it down a little
absolutely.
bit. Thank you.
I will definitely do that. And the first thing I want to say is that we make the distinction that we're a membership because our price does not go up as you get older, like insurance does. Once you're a member forever. And right now, I will tell you that our prices will be going up for the first time since 2013 on January 1st of this year. So if you ever thought about Skymed being an option for you, call me because we want to get you in before the end of the year because your price, whatever price you sign up for, is guaranteed for life, which nobody does in the industry. So we are different and there are no copays, no claim forms. We are not insurance. So that makes a big difference. So the pricing is divided into 3 categories. One is for people who are here less than 6 months. So we'd call them sunbirds or snowbirds. The other is people who are under 75 and expats who are living here full time. And the last category would be for people who are over 75. And it may be one person in the family is over 75 and the other is under. So that would be a family 1 silver. So just to give you some idea for people who are expats, a family, so 2 people living under the same roof is how we define a family. So it could be a gay couple, it could be a mother and her nephew, it could be a husband and wife. It doesn't matter. We don't care. 2 people living under the same roof is a family, and there's a better price for a family.
Okay.
So I always tell people find somebody.
Find someone
find
to live
someone
with.
to live with, and
reduce the cost, guys.
Reduce the cost. So if 85% of our members buy the 5-year program, because this is not a short-term program, Skymed is designed really for life. But if it's in the budget, then the pricing is $3,595 for 2 people for 5 years.
Say that again.
$3,495, and remember that's guaranteed for life. It will never go up. So if you break that down, it's $700 per year, $350 per person. Now you pay it all up front, but we also have monthly plans, annual plans, 3-year plans.
So you can break
and
down in
5-year.
different installments and
Not really installments. They're
Okay.
different plans.
Just different
really.
plans.
Different
Okay,
plans.
great.
You
Okay.
pay for each one up front, but except the monthly is monthly, of course. So
which was
it's,
always monthly always works out a little bit more.
it
because
is the most expensive way to buy.
Of course it would.
Yes,
of course
yes.
it is.
But for-
Like anything, guys. Yeah. Yeah,
Right.
like
But
anything.
for people that are on like monthly pensions and things, we want everyone to be able to afford Skymed.
So you give options,
We
payment
give
options.
lots of options, right?
It seems very reasonable. I mean, for
It is.
$750, a family would be
700, right.
$700, $350 per year, spread out. That's over 5 years,
And it covers 18 services.
18 services. Which I will put all the 18 services in the description as well, guys. Just so I can break
Oh,
down all
okay.
the 18 if
Yeah,
that's okay.
that's
So
fine.
rather than just work on every single one in this video. But
Right.
it sounds really reasonable. So that's the family membership. What
Yes.
what other memberships do you have?
Individual.
Yeah.
So the individual membership for an expat is $25.95. So for the folks who are snowbirds, and we have a lot of snowbirds coming here to get out of the Canadian winters, of course, the pricing for a family is $24.95. So it's only $500 per year because they're in Mexico less than 6 months. So that's the difference. And home the other 6 months. And by the way, a lot of our snowbird members seem to think that they're really only covering themselves when they're in Mexico, but they're covered all year round. So if you live in Toronto and you go visit your daughter in British Columbia, or you go shoe shopping in New York City, then you're still covered. So I would be happy to chat with anyone about their specific situations, answer any questions. There's obviously a lot of information around each of the Skymed services, around each of the options, around insurance in general. I did recently, this year, actually have a very serious operation that ran into 6 figures. I was in the hospital ICU for 10 days. I could not have afforded that without a plan.
Yeah.
So I just encourage people, whatever your plan is, just please have a plan. And there's a lot of other things to include in terms of, funeral home and getting your remains back, which Skymed also offers. And,
oh, wow.
So
and that's, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
So there's a lot of parts to that.
Do people contact you on a daily basis and say, hey, Catherine, do you mind if we have a chat for half an hour?
Oh, no, I get calls all the time from Canada, from the U.S.,
all the time.
from all over,
Yeah.
right? Mm-hmm. Because we've been doing this now for 6 years, and I guess our name's out there and on the website and so forth. We have a VONAGE phone, which can be reached through the U.S. and Canada.
I'll put the VONAGE phone in the description
there.
so you can contact.
Yeah, and
directly.
So I'm happy to have those conversations. Yeah, no problem. And actually with COVID, I've been doing a lot of business just via FaceTime or taking applications on the phone. One thing you should know a little bit about the background that you Canadians would like is it was founded by a man from Saskatchewan named Will Klein, who received the Order of Canada, which is the highest civilian award you can get. It's comparable to us Americans' Presidential Medal of Freedom. And he is a stellar human being. He lives by the motto, do the right thing. You do the right thing,
And
then things work out.
he was the founder of the company.
He was the founder of the company.
33 years ago.
years.
Cool.
And he still does a lot of all kinds of nonprofit back in Canada, and is honored all the time. But what that does is I think give people peace of mind. Having a plan. In Skymed, what they say is, I hope I never need it. Better to have it and not need it than need it and not have it, because we came here to enjoy our retirement, to go out to eat, to drink wine, to go kayaking, to dance, to have fun. And once we have our plan in place, then we can relax. And the only other thing I'd say is, if you're a single person, that you should have 2 people and make a group of 3 who back each other up with house keys and phone numbers to call of relatives in an emergency, because we were delayed one time evacuating our member on the medically equipped jet with a broken hip because no one had keys to her house to get her passports and to get all of the documentation she needed. So there's a lot, like you say, we're only looking at a snippet. Yep. There's a lot of things that go into putting a plan together.
So share some house keys with some people that you trust. So if they can be your backup if you have an injury or a serious medical condition.
Right, and if you have pets. We also fly your pets home, by the way.
Oh, wow, that's cool.
But, there's so many things. But, the pets may be in the house and you can't get there, and somebody needs to take care of your pets. So
and they can be flown back.
They can be flown back.
Wow, that's cool.
Yeah,
that's cool.
Not Rottweilers, mind you, but maybe smaller pets.
Smaller pets.
Yes, smaller
like
pets.
Chihuahuas, small little poodles.
Like that, right.
This has been great. Please, guys, feel free to contact Catherine if you want to have a chat with her, if you just want to communicate via email. Either one is great, and she'll go and talk about some of the best options for you. She'll share what we spoke about today. Is there any kind of final advice you want to share?
The main thing I would say is that it is a beautiful, beautiful place to live. The Mexican people are wonderful. I would also say make a plan. That really would be my ending comment, is to make a plan.
Catherine, thank you so much.
You're welcome.
If you're new to the channel, guys, please remember to subscribe, hit that notification button, and give it a thumbs up. Thank you again for watching, guys, and I'll see you in the next podcast. Hasta luego,
amigos. That was great.